I just happened to be scrolling and I came across this story right here. No one sent it to me, but I said I definitely have to speak on it. I was wondering if I was going to wait till Friday to do it as a part of my live stream show or maybe just do it as a pre-recorded video. And I said, let me just do it as a pre-recorded video. So, and I thought this was very interesting too to use as a picture because I wasn't going to use it, but I said, oh, I'll use it anyway. As you can see, that's a broken window to a Atlanta police patrol car. In case y'all have not heard, it says crime numbers across Atlanta dropped dramatically after protest. Records show. Now, for those of who are in these departments, they're probably upset about that. Now, if you tack that on to them going on strike, because I think some of them said they was going to go on strike, they literally let themselves be known that if they cannot do the crap they have been doing and getting away with for so long, then they're just going to up and stop working, or they're going to let the people govern themselves. But as you can see, even without so much of their assistance, crime stayed down. It didn't rise or anything like that. It dropped dramatically. So what does that tell you? Let me get into this. A police union representative told Channel 2 investigative reporter Richard Belcher that officers are afraid routine stops will explode into something more serious. In other words, these cops are scared to death that if they pull someone over for any minor infraction, that they're going to get reprimanded and is going to lead into something more. But see, this is the culture in which they have created. So they really have no one else to blame but themselves, but they want to have sympathy so badly. Just like you had that Officer Karen McFadden's crime because she was afraid that they were going to taint her egg McMuffin or whatever McMuffin type of sandwich she was going to get, as if that was a huge issue. Records obtained by Channel 2 reveals arrests for all crimes in Atlanta dropped dramatically right after citywide protests and leading up to the shooting death of Rayshard Brooks. Now look at that. Look at the change that has happened after the murder of Rayshard Brooks. Now, his death came, over a week ago, maybe 2 weeks now? Look at what has happened after the murder of George Floyd. And now look at what is happening now in Atlanta after the murder of Rayshard Brooks. Changes are starting to occur because now they have lost control of the people. And now they have to try to appease them, which is a phrase that I have yet to hear in this last month or so. They're on the ropes right now. They literally now have to do their job the correct way or get gone. And many of them choose the latter. That shows you what kind of mindset many of them have. A police union representative told Channel 2 investigative reporter Richard Belcher that officers are afraid routine stops will explode into something far more serious. We know dozens of police officers started calling in sick after the Fulton County District Attorney charged 2 officers in Brooks' death. What does that tell you? They called in sick after 2 of their own was charged with Rayshard Brooks' death. They literally, by them doing that, they've told on themselves that there is a bunch of savages working in that department, and they hate that they are held under a microscope now, that they are being heavily watched and guarded by not only society at large, but the people who hire them or the people that sign their check. And basically, they're not allowed to basically freeball anymore. They're actually going to have to do what it is they're supposed to do and what they're on the payroll to do and not go rogue, quote unquote. Just like when those 57 terrorists resigned after they pushed that old man up in Buffalo. Same thing. But numbers from a week earlier tells us that traffic stops were already down by nearly 80%. The fact that they were down that high, from that high up, shows you what kind of climate was going on down in Atlanta. And not just in Atlanta, but anywhere, especially when they be trying to meet them quotas. They can say they're not trying to get a quota all they want, but they be pulling some people over for the most stingiest of things. I'm like, if the person is not driving erratically, like swerving in lanes and everything, or if they're driving and they might have a busted tail light or a busted headlight, or or if they're speeding, that's something you can pull someone over for. But I've been hearing stories about how you had people who drive 65 and a 70 and they get pulled over. It says it's a reflection of the officer's nervousness or guilt, I should say. Hesitation to be the next officer that puts in jail, said Vince Champion with International Brotherhood of Police Officers. International Brotherhood of Police Officers. That's my first time hearing that one because I'm always used to hearing the Fraternal Order of Police. Now, listen to that. Hesitation that they could be put in jail. See, they've gotten away with it so long, but the arrest and charging of those two cops that killed or was involved with the murder of Rayshard Brooks lets you know they have been getting away with this for so long. And now that they finally have got two of them, hell, if they even got one, now they're on edge. Now they are shook for just two. Because they can't do their quote unquote job the way that they want to do it. The dramatic slowdown in policing mostly came before the incident at the University Avenue Wendy's that began as a seemingly routine call about a person asleep in a car and ended with a fight, a stolen taser, and a suspect shot to death. Champion said officers knew that routine is never guaranteed. When you approach a car, you have absolutely no idea what is going on. Records show that in the week starting 6 days before Brooks' shooting, Atlanta police made just 709 traffic stops citywide. That sounds like quite a bit to me. But according to this, it says that's a drop of 79% from the same week a year ago. And it was more than traffic stops. Arrests for serious offenses such as rape, armed robbery, and murder dropped 64% that week compared to a year earlier. Total arrests citywide dropped 71%. This came after the district attorney charged 6 officers who tased and dragged 2 young people from a car during demonstrations downtown. I actually talked about that in my live stream a couple weeks ago. Champion contends citizens will pay the price if police become too cautious. Well, as it stands right now, and I know it's too early to call, it looks like they're not really paying the price, and the only one that's paying the price right now is you and those other cops. It seems like they're the only ones that's going to pay the price. And see, the way he framed that statement almost sounds like a scare tactic. It's almost like, well, if we don't have the cops out here to do what we want them to do, or whatever they want to do, y'all are going to pay heavily, because then who's going to come and save you then? Yet crime has gone down without much of their assistance. But when they were involved, crime was high. What does that tell you? Those officers who would have been pulling over the suspicious vehicles, patrolling the neighborhoods, getting out with people at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, wandering in yards and things like that. So we might be able to do proactive and stop that. I don't know if that's being done as much as it used to. The virus crisis may have contributed to the drop in arrests and traffic stops. Total arrests were down 27% for a comparative 28-day total. The decline in total arrests was at 71% 2 weeks ago. A city spokesman sent Belcher a statement that reads in part, APD attributes to the reduction in crime predominantly to a week-over-week reduction that had occurred since the start of the virus pandemic, in addition to the curfew. The curfew actually ended the day before the 7-day period we examined. After reading all of that, if this was to continue to go on and just continue going this way, who knows what this could actually lead to. I think it was another state, I can't remember where and who I heard it from, but I know I did hear it where they said that they did I think it was in New Jersey somewhere. They did the defund the police thing and they said crime went down. So all they need is a few test areas. But see, when it comes to the police, a few won't be enough. They're going to make it where we need hundreds, thousands to show that this actually does work before we go any further with this. And you know what's so crazy? The calling for the defunding of the police is one thing. But see, they're going to end up defunding themselves by calling in sick and by quote unquote resigning. They're going to defund themselves. And many of them don't even realize it. but it is what it is. I hope that this actually continues and is not just a temporary thing. This is going to prove a point. It's going to set a new precedence right here. And those cops, they are scared of this. Like I said, their back is against the wall. They are on edge right now because they cannot go out there and act like the savages that they're used to being.